Scientists now believe 3I Atlas may have sent the original WOW signal, and now, 48 years later, it's headed for Earth.
Back in 1977, a mysterious radio signal from space lasted exactly 72 seconds, then vanished forever. Scientists called it the WOW signal and spent decades trying to explain it. Now, nearly 48 years later, astronomers discovered something incredible. The massive interstellar object 3I Atlas was in the exact same spot when that signal was detected. The odds of coincidence? Just 0.6%. Could this mysterious visitor have been trying to contact us? Was the WOW signal humanity's first alien message, the night that changed everything? On a warm August evening in 1977, astronomer Jerry Eman was doing what he did every night at Ohio State University. He was scanning through endless sheets of computer printouts, looking for anything unusual in the radio signals coming from deep space. The Big Ear radio telescope had been listening to the cosmos for years, mostly picking up the usual background noise of the universe. Row after row of numbers filled the pages, representing the constant chatter of hydrogen gas clouds, distant quasars, and the general electromagnetic hum that fills space between stars. Most nights brought nothing more exciting than occasional blips from passing airplanes or interference from nearby radio stations. But on this particular night, something extraordinary happened that would puzzle scientists for nearly 50 years. Hidden in the data from August 15th was a signal so powerful and strange that when Eamon spotted it days later during routine analysis, he could only scribble one word in red ink next to the numbers. Wow, that single word, written in the margin of a computer printout, would become the name of one of the greatest mysteries in the search for alien life. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds, appearing once and then vanishing forever like a ghost in the cosmic night. It was incredibly strong, about 30 times more powerful than background noise of space, making it stand out like a lighthouse beacon in a sea of static. What made this discovery even more remarkable was that the signal seemed to follow all the rules that scientists had theorized an alien civilization might use to announce its presence. It was narrow-band, focused, and deliberate rather than the broad spectrum noise that natural phenomena typically produce. The intensity rose and fell in a pattern that suggested it came from a point source, rotating or moving through space. Exactly what you might expect from a transmission originating on or near a spinning planet or spacecraft. The hydrogen frequency mystery. What made the WOW signal so special wasn't just its incredible strength or mysterious duration. The most important clue lay in the specific frequency at which it was transmitted. The signal came through at exactly 1420 megahertz, a frequency that any astronomer would recognize instantly as one of the most significant in all of radio astronomy. This is the natural frequency of hydrogen, the most common element in the entire universe, making up about 75% of all normal matter that exists. When hydrogen atoms flip their spin state in the cold depths of space, they release energy at this exact frequency in a process that happens constantly throughout the galaxy. Scientists have long believed that any intelligent civilization trying to communicate across vast distances between stars would choose this frequency as their cosmic calling card. It would be like using a universal language that any scientifically advanced species would immediately understand, regardless of their biology or technology. The signal also displayed something called a Doppler shift, a change in frequency that occurs when the source is moving relative to the observer. In this case, the shift indicated that whatever sent the signal was moving toward Earth at approximately 10 kilometers per second. This tiny detail, barely noticeable in the original data, would become incredibly important decades later when astronomers started calculating the trajectory and velocity of a mysterious visitor from another star system. The WOW signal originated from the direction of constellation Sagittarius, specifically from a region near the densest part of our galaxy where billions of stars crowd together in the galactic center. Enter the mysterious visitor. Fast forward to October 2019, when astronomers at the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, known as ATLAS, discovered something that fundamentally challenged our understanding of what should be possible in our solar system. Racing toward our neighborhood from the direction of deep space came an object unlike anything they had ever encountered before. At first glance, through their telescopes, it appeared to be just another comet, one of those dirty snowballs composed of ice, rock, and organic compounds that occasionally wander in from the outer reaches of our solar system. But as teams of astronomers around the world began tracking this new visitor more carefully, they realized they were dealing with something completely unprecedented. The object was moving far too fast to have originated within our solar system, and its trajectory showed that it was approaching from interstellar space rather than from outer regions where our sun's gravity normally captures and controls the motion of comets and asteroids. This wasn't a local resident at all. It was an interstellar traveler, only the third object ever confirmed to have come from another star system entirely. The international astronomical community designated it 3 Eyes Atlas, with the number 3 indicating it was the third confirmed interstellar visitor to be detected passing through our solar system. The first had been the mysterious cigar-shaped object Oumuamua in 2017, which had baffled scientists with its unusual acceleration and lack of visible outgassing. The second was 2I Borisov in 2019, which had behaved more like a conventional comet but still originated from beyond our solar system. As the object continued its approach toward the inner solar system throughout 2020 and 2021, it began displaying behavior and characteristics that no natural comet should be capable of exhibiting. The impossible alignment. In late 2024, Harvard University astrophysicist Avi Loeb was conducting a detailed analysis of the trajectory and orbital mechanics of 3I Atlas when he stumbled upon a discovery that would send shockwaves through the astronomical community. Using sophisticated computer models to trace the object's path backward through time, Loeb realized that in August 1977, when the famous WOW signal was detected by the Big Ear radio telescope, 3I Atlas would have been positioned in almost exactly the same direction in the sky as the mysterious radio burst. The alignment wasn't absolutely perfect, which would have been suspicious in its own right, but it was close enough to make any serious scientist sit up and take notice. The two directions matched within approximately 9 degrees of arc, which might sound like a significant difference to someone unfamiliar with astronomical measurements, but in the vast three-dimensional scale of space, this represents an incredibly precise correspondence. To put this in perspective, 9 degrees is roughly 18 times the apparent diameter of the full moon as seen from Earth. Loeb spent weeks double-checking his calculations and running statistical analyses to determine the probability that such a close match could occur purely by chance. The number he eventually arrived at was genuinely stunning and would form the foundation for one of the most controversial hypotheses in modern astronomy. According to his mathematical analysis, there was only a 0.6% probability that this alignment was merely a cosmic coincidence. Expressed differently, there was a 99.4% statistical likelihood that some form of connection existed between these two phenomena, separated by nearly 50 years of time. Surviving the solar storm. On September 25, 2025, the Sun unleashed one of the most violent and energetic storms in recent astronomical memory, providing an unexpected natural laboratory test for the true nature of 3I Atlas. A massive coronal mass ejection erupted from the solar surface with explosive force, hurling billions of tons of superheated plasma and charged particles into space at velocities approaching several million kilometers per hour. These coronal mass ejections represent some of the most powerful events in our solar system, capable of disrupting satellite communications across Earth, knocking out electrical power grids spanning entire continents, and completely obliterating the delicate gas and dust tails that characterize normal comets. When astronomers at NASA and observatories around the world detected this particular solar storm, they immediately began calculating its trajectory and intensity to predict its effects on various objects throughout the solar system. Their models clearly indicated that the plasma wave would reach 3I Atlas within approximately 48 hours, and the scientific consensus was unanimous about what should happen. Comets are inherently fragile structures, composed primarily of water ice, frozen gases, and loosely consolidated rocky debris held together by relatively weak gravitational forces. A direct impact from a coronal mass ejection of this magnitude should have catastrophically disrupted the object's structure, tearing apart its tail, stripping away surface materials, and sending debris cascading through space in all directions. But when astronomers around the world turned their most powerful telescopes toward 3I Atlas in the days following the storm's predicted arrival, they encountered something that defied every expectation. The object appeared completely unchanged. Its overall structure remained intact. Its trajectory through space continued undisturbed, and most remarkably, there were no signs of the massive gas and debris releases that should have resulted from such a violent encounter. The headlight discovery, the most shocking revelation about 3I Atlas, emerged from a series of detailed observations conducted by the Hubble Space Telescope throughout the final months of 2025. For nearly 6 months, teams of astronomers had been requesting precious observation time on the orbiting telescope to capture the highest resolution images possible of this mysterious interstellar visitor. The goal was to study its surface composition, internal structure, and the behavior of any gases or particles being released as it approached closer to the sun's intense radiation. What the Hubble images revealed completely overturned every assumption astronomers had made about the nature and composition of 3I Atlas. Instead of the characteristic bright, flowing tail that virtually all comets develop as solar radiation begins vaporizing their surface ices, the images showed something unprecedented. There was no tail visible whatsoever, not even the faintest trace of the gas emissions that should have been clearly detectable given the object's proximity to the sun. Even more bizarre was the presence of a distinct, concentrated glow emanating from what appeared to be the front or leading edge of the object, pointing directly in the direction of its motion through space. This forward-facing illumination was unlike anything ever documented in natural cometary behavior, where any glow typically originates from the entire sunward-facing surface and flows away from the sun to form the characteristic tail structure. Avi Loeb, upon examining these images, made a comparison that resonated far beyond the scientific community. He described these unusual luminous features as headlights, and the analogy was both striking and deeply unsettling in its implications. The glow wasn't exhibiting the typical green coloration that results from excited carbon molecules in conventional comets. Instead, it displayed spectral characteristics that suggested either an entirely unknown physical process or possibly even an artificial source of illumination. The mothership theory, the accumulation of anomalous observations, had pushed Avi Loeb to propose what would become one of the most controversial hypotheses in modern astronomical history. Drawing upon decades of experience studying unusual objects in space, Loeb began publicly suggesting that 3I Atlas might represent something that no human had ever encountered before, an artificial mothership designed and constructed by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. This wasn't merely speculation born from science fiction fantasies. Loeb's mothership hypothesis was grounded in careful analysis of the object's observed behavior, physical characteristics, and the statistical improbabilities surrounding its discovery and trajectory. He pointed out that 3I Atlas was following a path through our solar system that would bring it within optimal observation range of multiple planets, including Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and several of the outer gas giants. The trajectory appeared to be almost deliberately planned to provide the best possible vantage points for conducting systematic observations of every significant world within our Sun's gravitational influence. Rather than the random, chaotic orbit that would be expected from a natural interstellar wanderer, 3I Atlas was following what could only be described as a reconnaissance pattern designed to maximize scientific opportunities. The timing and approach angle also struck Loeb as highly suspicious. 3I Atlas had reached its point of closest approach to the Sun at precisely the moment when Earth was positioned on the opposite side of our star. This meant that during the most critical weeks of its passage through the inner solar system, the object was effectively hidden from our most powerful ground-based telescopes by the Sun's overwhelming glare. The escort fleet. In September 2025, the recently activated Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile made yet another startling discovery that provided additional support for the increasingly controversial mothership theory. Using its state-of-the-art wide-field imaging capabilities, astronomers detected a formation of 9 distinct smaller objects traveling in close proximity to the main body, maintaining what could only be described as an escort formation throughout their journey across the outer solar system. These companion objects weren't random fragments of debris that might have broken away from the primary body due to gravitational stress or thermal expansion effects. Detailed analysis revealed that each object possessed roughly identical dimensions and mass characteristics, following precisely matching trajectories through 3-dimensional space, with coordination that suggested either remarkable coincidence or deliberate control. Even more puzzling was the energy signature being emitted by these 9 escort objects. Despite being approximately 1/10 the physical size of the main 3I Atlas body, measurements indicated that each companion was somehow generating approximately 20 gigawatts of power. To put this extraordinary energy output into perspective, 20 gigawatts represents enough electrical power to supply the energy needs of a major metropolitan area for an entire day. This meant that the 9 smaller objects were collectively producing nearly 10 times more energy than the massive central body from which they appeared to have originated. No known natural physical process could explain how objects of such relatively modest size could generate such enormous quantities of power without being torn apart by their own energy release. Impossible size and power. The sheer physical scale of 3I Atlas represents another aspect of this mystery that challenges everything astronomers thought they knew about objects traveling between star systems. The vast majority of comets and asteroids that occasionally wander into our solar system from interstellar space consists of relatively small bodies, typically measuring no more than a few hundred meters across. But 3I Atlas is something entirely different, a genuine giant among interstellar wanderers. Current estimates place its diameter somewhere between 20 and 46 kilometers, making it significantly larger than Manhattan Island and approaching twice the diameter of the asteroid that caused the mass extinction event that eliminated the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. The calculated mass reaches an almost incomprehensible 33 billion tons, which represents several orders of magnitude more material than any other interstellar visitor that human astronomers have ever detected. According to statistical models, a natural object of this enormous scale should transit through our solar system only once every 10,000 years on average. Yet human civilization has been conducting systematic sky surveys for barely a single decade using modern technology, and we managed to discover 3I Atlas during this incredibly brief observation window. The statistical probability of making such a discovery purely by chance is so vanishingly small that it forces scientists to seriously consider alternative explanations beyond mere cosmic coincidence. The object's energy output presents equally perplexing challenges. Even when accounting for all possible sources of natural energy, including reflected sunlight, internal radioactive decay, and thermal emissions, 3I Atlas produces far more electromagnetic radiation than any comet should theoretically be capable of generating through purely natural processes. Perfect trajectory and timing. The path that 3I Atlas follows during its passage through our solar system exhibits a precision that seems almost impossible to reconcile with the random trajectories that characterize natural interstellar objects. Unlike the majority of comets that approach from highly inclined elliptical orbits, this mysterious visitor travels along what astronomers call the ecliptic plane. This represents the same flat, disc-shaped region where all the major planets maintain their orbits, and 3I Atlas deviates from this ideal alignment by merely 5 degrees. Such precise trajectory planning means that during its journey toward its closest approach to the Sun, the object passes within relatively close range of multiple planets that would be of obvious interest to any intelligence conducting a systematic survey of our cosmic neighborhood. 3I Atlas arrived from the direction of the galactic center, the region where our galaxy's highest concentration of stars creates the most statistically likely breeding ground for advanced technological civilizations. The object's velocity profile and gravitational trajectory show mathematical signatures that are more consistent with controlled navigation than with the chaotic wandering typical of natural debris ejected from distant star systems. Most significantly, the timing of its closest solar approach demonstrates what appears to be sophisticated strategic planning designed to minimize detection by Earth-based observers. When 3I Atlas reached perihelion, Earth happened to be positioned on the exact opposite side of our star from the visitor's location. This geometric arrangement meant that for several crucial weeks during the most important phase of the object's passage, it remained completely hidden from our most powerful telescopes by the sun's overwhelming brightness. If an advanced extraterrestrial intelligence wanted to conduct detailed observations while maintaining the lowest possible profile, this approach strategy would represent nearly perfect mission planning that demonstrates intimate knowledge of both orbital mechanics and current limitations of human astronomical observation capabilities. Thanks for watching another episode. While you are still here, make sure to click the video on your screen for more quality content.